We also want to bring in host of The Record right here on Newsmax, our own Greta Van Susteren. Greta, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Based on everything that you have seen happening today, the judge's instructions to the jury and beyond, what is your overview thus far?
Well, I can tell you one thing is to repeat what's said before. This is the most nerve-wracking thing that can happen to the lawyers, prosecutors, and defense right now, to have a note. But the note can be anything from a verdict, I doubt it, because usually the note will say we have a verdict, to something like one of the jurors feels sick and wonders whether we can get Tylenol. And in between, it could be something like we want to rehear testimony, we want to rehear evidence or anything. But what happens every time we have a communication from the jury, as probably has been noticed, is that the jury comes in, the judge reads the note, the judge confers with, well, first of all, the jury be kept out. The judge reads the note, confers with the lawyers, the prosecutor, defense, how to respond to that note, then summons the jury in and responds to it. But look, I got to tell you is that even before the note, everyone was worried. Everybody in the courthouse is guessing what it means right now. Once we hear what the note is, once the judge makes a decision what to do with that note, whether to tell jurors just to, I got your communication, just go back and deliberate, don't tell me how you split, or whatever the judge says, or if the judge says, no, you can't hear re-testimony, or you can have dinner earlier, whatever it is, no matter what it is, the jury will go back in, and then the rest of us, including the lawyers in the courthouse, will spend the next few hours pulling our hair out trying to figure out what we think it means, even if it's something so insignificant as that one has a headache and needs Tylenol.
Greta, we actually did find out what those notes were. There are actually 4 of them. Bob's going to share what we have.
That's right. We have the first one, reread request of David Pecker's phone convo with Trump. That is the first one. Number 2, Pecker's testimony of decision not to fund McDougal's life rights. Number 3, Pecker testimony regarding Trump Tower meeting. And number 4, Cohen testimony regarding the Trump Tower meeting. Doug Burns or Greta.
Greta, go ahead.
And I'll tell you what the judge's response typically would be is that, ladies and gentlemen, jury, I got your note, and your collective recollection will govern this. Now, remember, they all took notes as well, but it's unlikely that they're going to read testimony back, maybe, but most likely it's going to say your collective recollection of what the testimony is, what you should talk about, or even refer to your notes. But, anything goes in any of these courtrooms.
Doug, how did that crystal ball work out?
Yeah, no, I think, look, it's not our first rodeo. And Greta's right, of course. I mean, a lot of times, most of the times, the judge is like, please try to remember your recollection, and we allowed you to take notes, et cetera, to avoid a read back. But at the same time, there's exceptions to every rule, and they may turn around and read back some testimony. I don't think.
But there is a common theme going on here that we can see early on.
Yeah.
There's a common theme. Somebody is looking to drill down on what took place in the room when it happened.
Or you're right, of course that, or this is one of the first witnesses. This could mean that they're going witness by witness, and they're going to send out notes for every single witness between now and 2 weeks from now.
We're going to be here for a while.
That's all it means. Or it could be one person is hung up on this, and the other 11 want to show that it means something or doesn't mean anything.
Right.
This will really have everyone tearing his hair out trying to figure out what it means. We have no idea what it means, other than that they sent this note asking for it.
Greta, before your last comment, before the one you just made, you ended with anything goes in these courtrooms. What did you mean by that?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I must tell you that I've tried a lot of cases like the other 2 gentlemen here, and no 2 courtrooms are alike. But I must say that this New York courtroom has been very disappointing for me. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but that indictment, I think, and I've taught evidence at law schools at Georgetown for a while. I thought the indictment itself was constitutionally deficient, so I found that troubling. And I'm not really sure what the crime is. I do not like the New York procedure where the defense goes first in closing and then the prosecution, because think about it, if you don't know what the charges are because the indictment was constitutionally defective, now you've got the disadvantage also of going first, still not knowing what the prosecution, at least if you went after the prosecution, you have some idea what you're defending against and arguing against. I didn't like that. I do not know for the life of me what evidence class Judge Merchan took when he permitted into evidence testimony from Stormy Daniel that President Trump had some sort of position on sex and what pajamas he wore. That has absolutely nothing to do with whether any records were falsified or not, or whether there was payout. I do not like that at all, and he knows better, and he should never have permitted that. The prosecutor knew better than to elicit that, and that to me is like, look, every courtroom, every trial is imperfect, but some are really imperfect. That to me was extremely imperfect, because you can't get that out of your mind.